Okay. Yes, focus group discussion. One of the tools. FGDs. Good. All right. I can see we have a clue about what we're going to learn today. We have what we call qualitative and quantitative approaches of data collection. And we're starting with qualitative. We say qualitative research is a method of inquiry that aims to understand people's experiences, motivations, beliefs, and mental and social dynamics. Unlike quantitative research, qualitative research studies relatively small samples of respondents and rarely uses statistical methods for data analysis. Qualitative researchers use a variety of tools and methods in their research. Qualitative research is primarily exploratory research. It's used to gain an understanding of underlying reasons, opinions, and motivations. In a way, we can conduct, like we have tools like the focus group discussions. We want to study how people behave in the way that they are behaving. If we use quantitative research, we will not be able to get exactly, because we are going to use numbers, how many people responded to a certain question like this. But with qualitative, this one will, the researchers will go and have focus group discussions or key informant interviews with the people of that area, deeply with a structured or open-ended questionnaires. With this, they will know more. They will get from the responses that they will get from the participants in that focus group discussion. They will have with deep knowledge about opinions or reasons why people are behaving in the way that they are behaving. You said the process of research involves emerging questions and procedures that are typically collected in participants' setting. Data analysis that inductively builds from particular to general themes, and the research interpreting the data. Like we may have 4 or 6 different focus group discussions, same questions in different locations. Let's say same setting in the same community. Okay, some people are not getting me right. Let me raise my voice. We say we can have focus group discussions with the community, different focus group discussions like 6 or 7. Then at the end, we'll try to compare their responses. We will find that we make it into themes, responses that appear almost in all these settings or in all these focus group discussions. We will see them and therefore make conclusion based on what they have responded. The focus is clarifying new phenomenon and understanding context. Thus, qualitative research focuses on words and uses open-ended questions and some less structured instruments for data collection. We use focus group discussions, key informant interviews, and okay, these are some of the methods or the tools we use for collecting qualitative data. We use interviews. We say most of the researchers collect qualitative data using interviews, either it being key informant. It's identified that the activities, attitudes, and views of the participants could be easily interpreted with the help of these interviews, according to Wolfson, 1995, and Delson and Lincoln, 1998. For them, they categorize the interviews as structured interviews and semi-structured interviews. And in structured interviews, in structured interviews, the interviewer would follow the script guidelines. They have the guideline script, whereas in unstructured interviews, the interviewee would be questioned as per the idea of the interviewer. You have your question guide. You set your question, then they respond. From their responses, you note down, you write from this first focus group discussion, you write them down, or key informant interview, you write them down. After finishing this, you also go and conduct the same exercise with a different person or a different group. You also note their responses down. You find when you sit down, you try to read. You read their responses from one focus group to another, one interview to another. You find that there are responses that are almost the same. Semi-structured questionnaires is a combination of closed and open-ended questions. Closed means it also requires just one answer. If it is a yes or no answer, and open questions, meaning you can give your words as many as possible. A combination of closed and open questions will be included in these questionnaires. It's used for business-to-business market research in which a wide range of different responses are evaluated. Then we have unstructured questionnaires. These questions, those could generate free responses, which come under this category. They are called as guided conversations and referred to as topic guide. And they are mostly suitable for death interview, face-to-face, death telephone interview. Face-to-face, like I said earlier, a key informant interview. The key informant interview is somebody that has knowledge. Like if you want to get more knowledge about education or performance, you ask people concerning the Ministry of Education. You go, they will give you that information regarding education. If you want information, deep information regarding health, you go where? To the Ministry of Health. They will give you in-depth knowledge or data about health. Then we have observation as a tool for collecting qualitative data. Through observation, the researcher could monitor the behavior, events, or noting physical characteristics of the participants. This method can be used in both experimental and on social anthropological research. Scientific observation is a methodical way of recognizing and noting a fact of occurrence, often involving some sort of measurement. Scientific observation should be specific and recorded immediately, according to Tyler Powell and Steele, 1996. For observation plays a great role. Like you see how people behave in a certain manner. And also, when you're doing your monitoring, you can also use observation. You can see and note down what you have seen. If people are behaving in a calm manner, or people are aggressive, okay, you will be able also to note this one through observation. Then we have focus group. We say in this approach, highly experienced researchers will form a focus group comprising of 10 to 18 participants. Somebody's raising a hand.
I think you can go ahead.
Okay. In this approach, focus group discussion, highly experienced researchers will form a focus group comprising of 10 to 18 participants. At the meantime, they have reduced from 18 to 10 and 8. The maximum should be 12 participants, and record their opinion and beliefs through in-depth qualitative feedback. The research will probe into specific areas that are of interest to the company commissioning the research, according to Krieger. This focus group discussion, as I said earlier, you'll have your guide, FGD guide, with your questions. Like maybe if you are doing research, you want to know why a specific people don't send their children to school. With this one, you cannot do quantitative research. It needs qualitative. You ask the why, then you get their responses. With these responses, It can help you to know deep understanding, deep belief the community is having towards. Hello? You can be able to understand from their perspective why they are behaving in that way through qualitative research. Before we come to quantitative, is there anybody who has a question about qualitative approach and research? Hey, some people already are asking about attendance sheet. We have not even made 30 minutes here yet. Okay, before we jump into the next approach, is there anybody who is having a question regarding qualitative approach in research? Let me take a few questions.
Yes, William. Yes,
Yes.
I'm Nelson. Yeah, I just want to emphasize on all these qualitative research methods. I think this is where we really need to focus. And thank you so much for the explanation. I just want to supplement by adding some information. Like for instance, for the FGDs, yeah, this is one of the key method that people use, of course. And for data quality, you find that organizations even develop a protocol on how to deal with, for instance, FGDs, KII, and even observation. I know for observation, it's just simple, but of course, especially for the FGD, since we said that a group may range from 10 to 18 participants, maybe an organization that is sensitive of the quality of data that you're going to collect, of course, will say, okay, now we say that, okay, any FGD that is going to be conducted must have at least 10 participants, or at the most 15, or at the most 14, or 12, something like that. And then the procedures also all develop. So you find that in the FGD guide, all those informations are there, and then you should be able to actually, like all the processes before actually switching to the question, you should get the audience that you're dealing with understand like the purpose of the FGD, why you intend to do that, and then is it like compulsory for someone to participate? Because actually when doing FGD, you should not be able to like force someone to talk. If you force someone to talk, and then definitely this person may tell you wrong information. And then you also need to apply some of these techniques concurrently. You'll be doing focus group discussion, yes, and then you should bring in the element of observation also, because maybe let's say you are conducting a focus group on okay, conflict related topics, and then you are asking questions, and the communities there, maybe they are mixed up, maybe 3 communities, and the other community maybe do not want even the other one to talk. So while asking the question, you'll have to actually observe. You have to apply the observation method. You will find that maybe someone even do not like another person to talk. You get it? So that is why we say observation is very important in this qualitative way of collecting information. And I think this is really very important. And thank you, William, for capturing all that. So FGD, KII, and then observation. On the KII, like he said, yes, if you need information about maybe education, the system of education in the country, definitely you go to the Ministry of Education. And then if you need information about students, for instance, or pupil, that means your KII or the key informant interview you will conduct with teachers. You get it? Maybe teachers or some other, particularly teachers in the school, because those are people who actually they are close to the students or the pupils, and they are actually highly likely to give you accurate information. You cannot go and interview doctors when you are actually talking about pupils and teachers. So this is the concept that we really need to focus, and then you should be able to differentiate the 3. Thank you so much, William, and you can continue.
Thank you, Nelson. Actually, qualitative research is mostly practiced by the interpretivism. There is what we call interpretivism paradigm. And for them, they believe that there is empathy for them to collect, for them to know more about you. It's a humanistic approach that uses qualitative methods. They gain what empathic understanding of why people act from their own understanding. That is what we call interpretation. And quantitative is for positivism. For them, they use numbers. They believe that scientific paradigm that relies on measurement and reason, and it is based on the idea that science is the only way to learn about the truth. For them to learn about the truth, they will go with numbers. How many people responded to this? How many people responded to that? Unlike the qualitative. Let's continue. Quantitative research is a method of research that involves collecting and analyzing numerical data. Okay. With quantitative research, we are collecting and analyzing numerical data. It's used to find patterns and averages, make predictions, test causal relationships, and generalize results to wider populations. Quantitative research is widely used in the natural and social sciences, such as biology, chemistry, psychology, economics, sociology, marketing, and others. For quantitative research, mostly we use numbers. And the responses they give us is what we use to analyze. And with this analysis, we will be able to know how many people have responded to this question, how many people have said yes to this question, and so on. The approaches and the types of the methods or types of quantitative research. We have descriptive research. This is the type of research which is used to explain the current state of a variable or topic. They can answer what, where, when, and how, but not why questions. We have correlational research. This research is used to determine if there is a relationship between two or more variables. It can be used to make predictions about future events. Then we have causal, comparative, or quasi-experimental research. And this research is used to determine if there is a causal relationship between two or more variables. It's similar to environmental research, but the researcher does not have control over the independent variable. Experimental research is used to determine if there is a causal relationship between two or more variables, and the researcher has control over the independent variable. Then we have predictive research, which is used to predict future events based on current data. It can be used to make forecasts or identify trends, like in business. This year, your income, the profit you made is at 20. Next year, it's at 40. The year after, it's at 60. The trend is showing you that the profits that you are making are increasing yearly. Okay, and if it's also decreasing, like 50 this year, 40 last year, no, 50 this year, 40 next year, 30 the year after, also tells you that the profit is decreasing. This is you can be able to predict. After that, you will know that automatically after the year 2026, 2027, profits will keep going down. Therefore, you can make decisions of what you can do, either to invest in advertisement or you rebrand your products. This is about predictive research. Correlation, this one can tell you relations between two variables. Let's say relations between education and the standard of living. What is the relations between education and the standard of living? We make research. Those who have attained at least a university degree, how is their standard of living compared to those who have not gone to school? With this, you can also be able to come into conclusion if the standard of living, if there's a correlation between education and the standard of living. The methods used for collecting this quantitative research is surveys. Surveys involve asking a set of structured questions to a large number of respondents. Surveys can be conducted through various means, such as paper, kiosk, mobile, or online questionnaires. Like mostly in NGO world, they use this Kobo, Home Care, ODK for collecting questions for conducting surveys. These surveys is easy. You can have your data collectors or enumerators design for them these questionnaires. The phones, they go ask question if it is CAP survey, if it is smart survey. With these responses, you'll be able to make quantitative research. We have experiments. These are control procedures where variables are manipulated to observe their effects. This method is often used in scientific research to establish cause and effect relationship. Then we have controlled observation. In this observation, researchers carefully observe and record data in a controlled environment. This method allows for systematic data collection and analysis. Then we have interviews. Interviews can be conducted to collect quantitative data by asking respondents a standard set of close-ended questions. This method provides structured data and can be more in-depth than surveys. Nelson, would you like to add something?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you perfectly explained. Surely that is the meaning of quantitative research. So it's actually you target some variables and then you're targeting like how many people responded in that. And sometimes now that is where you can dive into some calculation where you get percentage of these people who responded on this variable, and then how the variable correlate with another, and so on and so on. So unless we dive into maybe a data analysis, which is, I think, I don't know if it is here. Yeah, but what actually you explained is very good. Thank you. You can proceed.
All right. A data analysis will be a session for another day. We have not decided yet, but we will think about it. These are methods still. And like when we talk of polls, polls are a type of survey that collects data from a specific population to gauge or opinions or preferences on a particular topic. Like if we were to do polls for all these masterclass, we have well-being, we have business development, we have M&E. Then we post for you participants to select the one you would like to attend, or you rank the best trade that you would like to attend. Therefore, the data will help us to know which one do people prefer, which one do people not prefer. From your responses, it will help us to make decisions. That is polls, numerical data. We have telephone interviews. These telephone interviews involve conducting interviews over the phone, typically using a structured questionnaires. This method allows for efficient data collection from a large number of respondents. Before we come to these techniques, are there questions regarding a quantitative research approach? Let me take 1 or 2 questions, then we proceed.
Yeah, so I see one question here. Somebody is asking that how do you analyze data after collecting? And then just a comment from someone here. The person is saying qualitative research is based on the disciplines of social sciences like psychology, sociology, and anthropology. Qualitative research methods allow for in-depth and further probing and questioning of respondents based on their responses. The interviewer or researcher also tries to understand their motivation and feelings. We have a hand from Isaac Francis. Isaac, please, you can ask your question. Meanwhile, another person is also asking, is documentation related to data collection? And another one also is making a comment, that is Ariko Sherry, saying, longitudinal studies and telephone interviews, quantitative or qualitative in nature. I believe they're used for a mixed approach, but I might be wrong. So those are 3 questions. I think you can answer those ones are enough. And another one is also asking that, please use examples to differentiate between descriptive and correlational methods. And another one is saying, please re-explain longitudinal studies. That word is really hard to pronounce. And then, yeah. So those are the questions you can answer. William, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, over to you.
Okay, let me go back. Okay, longitudinal studies involve collecting data from the same subjects over an extended period of time. This method allows for the analysis of changes and trends over time. We collect data from the same community over a long period of time. Maybe we are studying their behavior. In an aspect, we have cultures whereby eloping with girls is normal, right? Then we need to study over an extended period of time. We find that cases of eloping with girls reduces with time. This may tell you that there is a change in what? In behavior of people over time. We also have in some communities whereby people are being beaten. Like if they marry, yeah, they are chased, they beat the man and all this. But with time, if we study these cultures, these people over and over again, we find that these cases are diminishing. This one tells you that there is what? A change in behavior. Let me hope I'm clear with you. Okay, telephone interviews. Commonly, yes, we can use it as qualitative, but it's mostly used in what? Mixed method. Oh. Okay, descriptive. Oh, somebody has already explained. All right. Are there questions I've not answered, Bida?
Not really. You can just proceed.
There is a one question about data analysis. Someone asked about the technique like of analyzing data after collection, and I think William even did explain in the previous session. Like for qualitative, there's a way you analyze the data. So after you conducted focus group discussion and you get all the responses, for instance, from 7 groups, and then you need to analyze that one. How do people respond in each of the group? And then you'll be able to analyze all that, and then you come up with the summary. So it is difficult actually to analyze qualitative data because you have to actually go through all the information raised during the discussion. Sometimes even people record. You need to record when you are doing focus group discussion, because if there's something that you miss, you didn't write, then you'll be able to listen to the audio, and then you'll be able to figure out how or what that person actually said. So it is important. And then now what you do, you will create, there's a way and where actually you create like columns, and then you see this variable, the discussion about this and this and this. So for all the group, and then you, after that, you have a summary column. So in the summary, this is where you will draw actually your conclusion. I think maybe later on when we have another session, which I think Excellence Foundation is going to plan, we'll have that one as a separate session on data analysis. And for the quantitative, also it is different because that one, there are some tools that normally use. For instance, the Kobo, like he mentioned, this is where you program everything there, and then you can download the data, and then you can play with it, and then get actually the data analyzed according to the variable that you target. For instance, even for the gender, how many people responded in this variable, and so on and so on. Also, we have some tools like ComCare. It works the same, almost like the Kobo. And then it actually depends on how you program it. So it actually takes time to program. Also, SPSS is another good tool for data analysis. It works like Excel. So all those are tools that you use for analyzing data, quantitative data. So once you have separate session on that, I think we'll dive deep into that and then get you to know exactly how qualitative and quantitative data is analyzed. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson. All right. Sampling techniques. Before we go forward, can we briefly put some writings in the chat box about sampling techniques, what you know? Yes, participants. Random sampling, good. Snowball, yes, good. Okay, let's dive into it. We have, they are categorized into 2 sampling methods or techniques. We have sampling techniques used in quantitative research. Then we also have sampling techniques used in qualitative research. Let's start with the techniques used in quantitative research. We have one which is simple random sampling. In this, every unit in the sample frame has the same probability of being selected. So you have a list of sample frame. We call it sample frame of individuals or schools or classrooms or some other unit. And you use one of a variety of methods to randomly select individuals off that list. For example, assigning every person a number, okay? And then drawing numbers out of a hat in the example show, we have like 5 students in red. I have the example now. 5 students in red have been randomly selected from a population of 20 students. Simple random samples require smaller sample size than other random sampling methods, but it is certainly may not be the most cost-effective method if the sample is really spread out geographically. This example. Good. Random. Systematic. Okay. This example of simple random. Select, like as I explained, select 50 people from a population of 200 randomly. Like probability means everybody has a chance of being selected. It's not biased. We have also a stratified sampling strategy. This is used when you want to make sure that a specific subgroup is well represented in your sample, when it would likely to be poorly represented in a simple random sample. The population is divided into a non-overlapping subgroups called a strata. And then with each stratum, you randomly select a certain number of individuals or units. You can as well make sure there is a representation of minority groups this way. Often, this may be the only way you can effectively generalize about small subgroups from your data, according to Trochim. If you use a stratified sampling methods, you may have to use sample weights when analyzing the data to make sure that the results accurately reflect the population. We have example below. In the example, we have divided the population into boys and girls. And even though there are fewer girls, we randomly choose 5 girls and 5 boys. Since we are oversampling girls, we should use sample weights when analyzing the data, as in this. We randomly select from a group, select 5 boys, 5 girls, put them together, then randomly select from the population. Then we have cluster random sampling. This one is used when you draw a sample from naturally occurring clusters like schools. We may be having so many schools like in Juba. Then you cluster them. Schools that are where? In Sherikat, or schools that are in Rock City, we cluster them. Okay, this it's cost effective since it's often easier to travel to a set number of cluster and interview all the individuals in that cluster than it would be to randomly select and interview the individuals from across all of the clusters. So it means like when we put them according to clusters, let's say now we are going to do schools in Sherikat, then we go in Sherikat. Other than doing what randomly, the one we choose, another school is in Sherikat, the other one is in Gudele, another one is in Gumbo, one school is in Rock City. So it's cost effective. The cluster random sampling is cost effective from moving from one school into one area, from that area to another area. That might cost you a lot of money. Cluster random sampling is cost effective. It's also helpful to use when you know all of the clusters in your sampling frame, but not all of the individuals. This is often the case for us. We have list of schools, but not typically a list of all the students in every school. Like this, we randomly select 3 schools from the population, then sample all students in each school. Before we come to common sampling methods in qualitative research, do we have some questions in quantitative research sampling methods? Let me take a few questions before we continue. Oh, my network. Oh, somebody say
William,
my
you're getting
network.
it. No,
Not
William, you're
really.
getting
No, your network is very
Right.
clear. I think
Today you are
maybe
excellent.
it's the person's network.
Oh, for somebody.
So, yeah. So
All
guys,
right,
if
we are
you have
taking
any,
a few questions.
yeah, there's a question somebody is asking, what is the goal of sampling? What is the goal of sampling? And of course, if you have another question, guys, you can raise your hand or you can just type your questions in the chat box. Maybe you can just answer this question as we see if there are any hands up. You should ask questions. That is very important in case anything is unclear, guys.
Yes, William.
Yes, Yeka.
Yes, please. When you look at a random, and then when you illustrate using your pictures, it means it's spotted. What is the difference between a spotting? I'm spotting the selection, and then randomly I choose. Randomly, I thought maybe you just go and then get people at once. Then you go and then I pick this one. What is the difference between random and the spotting? Thank you.
Random man is stratified. I didn't, you said random man is stratified?
Yes, William, yes.
Okay. We say in simple random sampling, every unit in the sample frame has the same probability of being selected, as in like we have a list for all these students, let me say. Then we say 1, 2, 3. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So whoever, I can choose to say the probability everybody in that room has a chance of being selected. Maybe I said, I want to take only number 3, okay? I did not have any influence on who is number 3, but I just gave them numbers that I want everybody, that you take 1, 2, 3, take 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then I say, I need all the number 3s or all the number 1s. I need to interview them. This is simple random sampling. Maybe I need 5. Like from this example, you just choose randomly. Select out of 200 learners. A stratified is used when you want to make sure that a specific subgroup is well represented. Like maybe there is minority group. You want them to be well represented. You get them, then you put them to the main sample. Okay, you can make sure there is a representation of minority groups this way. Often this may be the only way you can effectively generalize about a small subgroups from your data. If you use stratified sampling methods, you may have to use sample weights when analyzing the data. Like there's a group you think when you say you need all the students, there's likeliness that you may find more boys. Are you getting me? You may find more boys that's in stratified than girls. When you say you need 20 learners from this school, you do not tell you need balance. You may find more boys than girls. But if you say, okay, I need, like your target is 10 learners, but you need to know, you need to get 10 boys and 10 girls because the number of girls might be low in that school. Then from this 10 boys and 10 girls, you randomly again choose 5 out of this 10 and 5 out of the other 10. Therefore, you have your 10 sample and represented by all the genders. And like if you say you want these 1s and the 3s, you may get maybe boys are more in this class, their number will be greater than the number of girls. Let me hope I've answered you. Okay. Let me read some chats.
Yep, I'm
Okay,
also attempting to reply.
Oh, yeah, I'm checking. Thank you. Somebody asked for the goal of sampling. The goal is to gather what data from a subset of individuals or units to represent a larger population of interest. This one allows what the inference about population based on the characteristic of the population. Sampling helps you because if you cannot take everybody, it will be costly. You will not have that money to get enumerators, a lot of enumerators to conduct data collection. So we sample, putting in mind that the responses we will get from these people, okay, will represent the wider perspective of that population. So that's the goal of such sampling.
And I think to add on the goal, William, if you can give me chance,
Yes.
I think that one really is very
Yes.
important. And number two, let us say if you need to select 5, you want to sample out 5 out of 10 people, and like you explained, yes, we have to use a systematic way. So you cannot just go and then say you and you and you, I need to interview you. Because at the end of the day, it will cause what we call bias in research. You see? So maybe let us say, okay, these people whom you are going to interview, they're going to get some incentive. So maybe there you have maybe your own people and so on. So maybe going and then pointing that you and you and you may point one of the person maybe who is your friend because you want him to benefit from the process and so on. Or maybe you know that person will give you the information that you want, you see? So to avoid all those sorts of information, you need to do proper sampling, and it should be in this prescribed way so that you actually avoid the bias that are associated in the research. Let me give you an example. Because once you have bias, the information that you are going to get will not actually help. So you are highly likely to make wrong decision using the information that you get. Let us say you need to interview people in Gudele because there is food distribution. So you need to sample out maybe 10 households and you interview them on whether they have food or no. So if you don't use the good sampling criteria, you just go and ask, and also the people know that the food is coming, maybe later on you're coming to distribute food, and then definitely they will actually respond that yes, we have no food for the last 7 days, we did not eat. Even if the person has a lot of sacks of flour inside, he knows that since food is coming, definitely will give you wrong information. And imagine if those 10 people that you interview gives you wrong information, that means you are highly likely to actually act wrongly. Maybe even that area that you're collecting the sample from, those people are well off. They actually don't lack any food, but because they know that food is coming, so they need to respond in the way that they receive the food. That is bias in research. So to avoid all those biases, you have to use good sampling and you have to follow all the procedures. That one we call Hawthorne effects. When you do some research, you go and then you ask someone, this person whom you are asking knows why even you are asking, you see. So the person actually should not know, so that you record the good information that enables you actually to carry out your activity. Thank you so much.
Are we okay?
Yes.
Yep. I see a hand from Moro Moses. Moro Moses, would you like to make a comment? You're welcome. Moro Moses, you are welcome, please. Otherwise, William, you can continue.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vida. I just needed to make some little comment on what just has been explained about the knowledge of the use for the data that is going to be collected. And as the recent speaker has advised, because in the end, you know, as it was earlier on said, when you need to collect data, you have to explain to the person why the data is being collected and other important things about the data itself. Oh, and now it will be somehow contradicting if we now say that the person should know why you are collecting the data. So in other cases, if you don't tell them why you are collecting the data, then the person may decide not to to take your in. I just see that the most important thing here is combine the techniques. Like now, for instance, if you are asking something related to food, how many to eat in a day and what have you, you just see the person, or I mean the person and the environment. Like if the person, you just presume that this person eats well, unless it's someone who is malnourished and what have you, then you'll know that this person is really not eating. Because if you ask that question, even if the person is good, you see that the person is looking healthy, but the person will pretend that he or she is not what is not
Yeah.
eating. So I think we'll just have to be very sensitive when we're asking or we are delivering some of the questions. This is just my addition to about informing what I mean in the particular what they are supposed to respond.
I think what he meant to say is we will not tell before you have gotten your sample, okay? You will not tell everybody what you're going to do. But after having your participants already, you want to begin collecting data, you tell them the reason as to why you're conducting that assessment or research. I think, Nelson, right?
That is perfect, William. Exactly.
Yep. These are techniques under what? Quantitative sampling techniques. We have convenience sampling, qualitative, selection of participants that is based on accessibility, ease, speed, or cost. It's least desirable sampling method. Most researchers, they avoid this method unless they have no other option. This one, when you're conducting research, just anybody convenient to you, you have your community that you are targeting. You just go. For example, a researcher has limited time and interviews the first 4 pregnant mothers who show up at the clinic in the morning, and also maybe in emergency situations. It's like convenient. Whoever you get access to, you interview. Whoever you get access to, you interview. This one can sometimes be biased. You will not get the responses as expected. People are trying to avoid this. Then we have purposive sampling. This is systematically selecting participants based on knowledge of how the outcomes would appear. This also allows researcher to improve validity of findings. This one keeps research focused on specific characteristics of participants or method of collection. For this qualitative, as in like purposive, you know your people who have this deep knowledge about a particular topic. Okay. For example, a researcher is studying the impact of a mother education program on child health outcomes. As part of this study, the researcher includes fathers in the sample, knowing that fathers often affect how and when mothers can take the child to a clinic. Case studies: norm, negative deviance, positive deviance. You can also, like, you want to have deep understanding about a culture or a particular culture. You have the chiefs, you have the elderly. You cannot go and interview somebody who is young, would not be having, unless if that person has read books, has made research before, but you cannot tell. But to have deep settings about cultural norms, you will need to ask an elder, somebody who have lived in that place and knows deep about their culture. You will be able to get rich information, as well as, like, you want to know prevalences of malaria in a certain setting, in a certain community. You go and ask from the health care unit or center. They will give you data about prevalence of malaria in a particular community. Then we have maximum variation sampling. These often researchers want to understand how a phenomenon is seen and understood among different people who have distinctly different characteristics. This is a type of purposeful sampling where the aim of the researcher is to sample heterogeneity in lived experiences. Okay, a researcher selects participants that maximize the diversity relevant to the research question, and a researcher has to have a prior hypothesis to each dimension of variation used for sampling. You have a hypothesis, you have like a thinking, a common thinking, the assumption, what you assumed a certain certain community or certain people could be living, or behavior or attitude. You have that already in you, hypothesis. Then you are going to confirm if what you're hearing about them is true. Therefore, using this, you can be able to get deep knowledge. For example, in studying maternal perception of perinatal care, the research includes mothers of different ages and mothers with different number of children in the sample. Then we have criterion sampling. This sampling from a pool of participants who meet a predetermined criteria. It's useful for identifying and understanding cases that are information rich, can provide an important qualitative component of quantitative data. This is often used for identifying cases from a standardized questionnaire that might be useful for follow-up. For example, in studying how children interact with a new reading curriculum, the researcher includes children who have different literacy levels on the baseline placement test. With this comes snowball. With snowball sampling, researcher uses well-informed people to identify critical cases or participants who have a great deal of information about a phenomenon. Researcher follows chain of contacts in order to identify and accumulate critical cases. This one can be very useful in which to identify a small number of key cases, often used along with key informant interviews. And while not fully systematic, methods offers a clear line of reasoning for sampling decisions. And this can be done during data collection or prior to data collection, or both. With snowball, Nelson.
Yes, William.
Do you want to add something on snowball sampling?
You captured everything. So unless maybe there is a question later, and then we'll attend to.
All right. Like maybe you want to interview, let's say, sex workers in a certain town. You interview this one, they will be the one to tell you the next person. Because sometimes it becomes a rare case. Researcher follows chain of contacts in order to identify and accumulate critical cases. You interview this, then you ask if they have the next, they'll be able to tell you another one. You go and interview that one, they'll be able to tell you another one. With this, that's what we call snowball sampling. With this, let's take questions.
Any questions? If you have any questions, please do ask. In the chat box, I don't see anything serious. So, and then guys, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand up. Otherwise, the facilitators.
Have you posted the attendance?
No, the attendance will be posted after 1 hour and 30 minutes. So we have about 18 minutes to get 1 hour and 30 minutes into the session.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Taban Benai, you're welcome. You can ask your question, please.
Thank you. Sorry, I joined a bit late, but I catch up from the sampling. So I have a question. My question goes to the presenter. Actually, if you go for an information, maybe you want to gather information from the community concerning culture. Sometimes you may ask the community leaders and they will select people according to their interest. They will not be actually fair in the selection. And then if you are asking elder people, there are some parts of the cultures which they feel it is not good to be aired out to a foreigners, and that will not give you an accurate information. So if you are given such a research to carry out to find out, what will you do in order to ensure that all these differences are catered for in order to get a quality information? Thank you.
You're talking about biasness in selection of the participants, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mostly what we do, like when we are conducting a research, we go to the community leaders so that they will know what we are doing on the ground. We go to the village, we tell them the criteria, the sampling methods that we are going to use. We are the ones to give him this idea of sampling, that in this community, we are going to interview this set of people, and how we are going to get this set of people is through this sampling. Like we did for CAP survey, okay? We have these random numbers. We tell if you choose an event number, meaning that these households are going to fall under this. When he chooses, we give him to choose. He sees up, then a pen and a paper will be handed over to him. He will just pinpoint the number that the pen falls at. We circle that number, then we choose the people we are going to interview. With that, they will not have so much influence. What is common is when the selection, you want to select people to benefit from a certain project, even if you tell them that our selection criteria is like this, they can have influence. They will select people that are closer to them. But if it is with these surveys, assessments, research, they normally don't influence that much, unless in some places I've not experienced that. What was your second question? Okay,
the
asking
second
elders, right?
Yeah,
Asking elders about certain
Yes.
information. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. We have like in some cultures, yes, we have had questions which are really sometimes provoking or sometimes
Another question.
look bad.
Question here. William.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then,
My question is based on meeting the community. Sometimes when you tell them the criteria that you are going to use in sampling, sometimes they mislead you that they might have the choice. Tell you otherwise you can work according to the interest. In that case, what can you go to do?
working according to their interests, as in they are the one to select who will participate in that survey or not.
Yes, that is what I mean.
That is bias. You tell them we don't do that we don't do that in researches. Otherwise, we may be forced to change the location. You know, sometimes it depends on how you convey information. If they did not understand you very well from the very beginning, it will make it hard. But if they got you right away, this activity is not like something that they are going to benefit out of, but the information that they will give will help us to make decisions. They will help us. They will be the one even to help us. They will help us. I understand we have some stiff communities, but we have to be clear when conveying information. I'm seeing some questions. Still, some people are raising their hands. Okay, for elders, like you tell your enumerators, there are so many ways of getting information. They can use other ways, but meaning the same thing. Their response will give you an idea of what they are trying to tell. Like we have questions like how many people died in this household. Some people will take it like, so you want people to die, right? But you tell your enumerators to use some of these, they can fidget around and still arrive to the same question. Somebody saying, what are M&E tool and tool for data collection? We have just talked about this. Okay, Bida's trying to respond. Okay, sampling method criteria depends on the type of research you are conducting. If you are conducting qualitative, then you go with convenience. But if you are conducting also quantitative, you go with the simple random sampling and all that. It depends on the type of research that you are conducting. Does it Safi? Who else? Where would the quota sampling fall in this? Who else? Good.
Yes, there's a question that just came right now from Lotiki Johnson, and he's asking, where would the quota sampling fall in this case?
Okay. It's used in both qualitative and quantitative research design. It's a non-probability. It's a non-probability method where researchers create what convenient sampling involving individuals that represent a population. It can be both in quantitative and in qualitative. Let me hope I'm clear, Lotike.
Yeah, sure. And then I see another comment is saying always before you conduct your research, ethical consideration is required, and always do individual questionnaires. That's just a question. That's just a comment. And someone is saying,
A comment, yes.
taking into consideration, taking into records of census, assuming the sampling area is not accessible, what steps should the enumerators do to have the data collected? In the case where, like, maybe South Sudan wants to do a census, and because of insecurity or because of poor road conditions, some areas are not accessible, and you must do this. What would you do? Actually, it's tricky.
It's tricky, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you involve the chips. Sometimes the road may not be accessible, but we have phone and all this.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. That makes sense. So, Mabe, so what happens in this case is, if the area, let's assume, of course, it's not possible that the area can be completely inaccessible. So, like he mentioned, if it is accessible by phone, then that is also an option that you can explore, or maybe you can hire a helicopter. Or do you satellite?
And I think Vida, maybe like when we reach that time, we know currently actually there is no plan of that kind, but assuming that they want to conduct census, all those information would be provided, because even during the training of enumerators, you will be guided on, like, when you go to location X and you get this instance, what are you going to do? Definitely you'll be guided, and you will not be there alone as an enumerator, but of course you'll have a supervisor who will be with you, and there will be that hierarchy of reporting. So in case of that, definitely you have to report following the channel, and then you also get the advice the same when that time comes. Thanks.
Okay, Dennis is asking
Yeah,
about
perfect.
FGD.
And yeah, good. I was about reminding you about that.
Okay, for focus group discussions, yes, it's advisable to have women separately if you're doing for women, men separately, children, different sexes, the elders separately. Because in a scenario we've had, like, we are talking about something sensitive, not only about women being separate, an enumerator doing FGD for women should also be a female, because we have some sensitive questionnaires, questions that women may feel shy to answer if the enumerator is a man. So we advise that when conducting FGD for women, enumerator should be also a woman. The same case for boys and men. Let me hope you are clear here, Dennis.
Yeah, it's okay. It's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can proceed now.
Actually, if you saw the slides well,
Sorry, what are you saying?
this is the last slide.
Oh, okay.
Sampling.
Nice. So, guys, do you have any questions, any comments? If you are an M&E expert,
or recommendations.
Recommendations. If you're also an M&E
for future
practitioner,
masterclass,
you can make some comments. And of course, we'll give you an assignment before we actually give the certificate to see if you have understood some of these things. So later on, we will share some M&E questions, two questions, okay. and then you answer only one, so that we see if you have understood the aspect. Otherwise, let us go for a short break. Let us go for a 5 minutes break. No, 8 minutes break. Right now it's 2:27. So if you want to grab some water, you can grab some water while we do this break. And also in this break, we'll share the attendance. So you can use this break time to be able to fill in the attendance. For those ones who are filling in the attendance on YouTube, I will be able to pin it in the chat of the YouTube video. So yeah, so data analysis is very wide. So we wouldn't want to risk time with data analysis, and also we want to see which data analysis tool is very popular. I believe most of you use Microsoft
Excel.
Excel, yeah.
Excel.
So that, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually know a lot of people who are very good in data collection. So I will talk to them definitely, and they will be able to do that. So once again, enjoy your break and see you at 2:35. I have shared the attendance link again, so please fill in the attendance. In the meantime, if you have any comments or if you have any questions, you can also raise your hand, but I would advise that you actually go for that, for the break. It's 7 minutes. You can also use it to fill the attendance. If you have questions or if you have comments that you want to make, please raise your hand. Raise your hand, and you can make your comments with regards to the session. So it should be within the context of this session. Any comments? Once again, a reminder that the attendance has been shared in the chat box. And of course, if you have any questions, any comments, you can raise your hand and be able to speak your mind. It's very important for us to be able to hear from you and see what you have to tell us with regards to these things of M&E and stuff, and why they are important. Yeah, so if you're following on YouTube right now, you know that we have pinned the link for the attendance as in the top chat. So you should be able to fill the attendance form using that link. Yeah. So Simon, which link are you talking about, Simon? Which link
yesterday.
The one for what?
The session for yesterday. I think you shared.
Yeah, but I don't think that is what he means. Looks like he means something different. Yes, Ojara Charles, your hand is up.
Yes, good afternoon to all group for today. I think it has been a good discussion concerning the training has been good, but only that today we are talking much of quantitative and qualitative, of which I'm seeing people are not very focused. That out of my observation. What I want to bring to our attention is I'm requesting if you could highlight more on the tools used for M&E in monitoring and evaluation. If any person can jump in so that we can discuss. And then concern about there was a question somebody raised, for instance, if the area is cannot be accessed, and then you want to collect data. I think the right person to meet, either a commissioner or the chief of the area, can give you the data. For instance, sorry to mention this, there's one of the community fund in Greater Upper Nile. I think most of you have been hearing their complaint. They have one of their son. There's a tribe called Jajo. That is the only person they can send it. He say he moved 3 to 4 days to go to Maban, and then he will report from there. He say children are dying, elderly are dying, without the sickness is not known. I believe, I think there's a team from Ministry of Health which was sent there after the information was had. I think these are some of the criteria we can get the data, or we can get more information if the area is inaccessible.
Okay, thank you so much for the comments, Ojara. Any other thing you want to add?
No, maybe if time come, then.
Okay, good. Yes, Mabe, your hand is up.
Yes, hello. Let me hope you are getting me clear.
Very clear, very clear.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to appreciate the facilitator for today. I think today everything went on well. There is no network block like the one of yesterday. I'm really so much pleased with the facilitation about qualitative, quantitative. Now, I want to raise a question still based on sampling site. I posted in the chat, but it's not complete. Let me put it complete here. Sometimes data collectors will be sent to one of the sampling site, maybe one of the EA. Then from there, in their work, some of the respondents, after when you reach to a soaking point, like date, maybe like on how often do they eat in a day, but they are poor. Sometimes if they start remembering that, they will start crying in your front as being the data collector. Then as they cry, as a data collector, sometimes when you say it, let us continue, this person now will not pay attention to you, and time it's going. As being a data collector, today from our trainer, let him help us. What next should one do? Because the person is crying and the time is going, and at the end you're needed to finish filling 10 questionnaires.
Okay, thank you so much, Mabe. I hope William is noting a situation where you are with the respondent and the respondent becomes emotional right in front of you, and you are running sort of time. What will you do? What advice would you give to somebody who is collecting data in such a situation? Perfect question. Yes, Taban Benai, and then later on Minyo Richard. Taban Benai, please, you can ask your question or you can make your comments.
Okay, thank you for giving me the chance. Yes, thank you for giving me the chance. I would like to appreciate the team and the participants and the presenters for the today's session. It has been a very wonderful one. I've really benefited out of it because I'm about to go and do my research. I'm doing my distance learning. So I have got something at least that will help me to carry out my research effectively. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.
And
thank
yeah,
you.
It's a good thing to see that you are getting to do your research. And for me, I wish you the very best of luck. Okello, are you still there? You can ask your question, please, or you can make your comments. Okello? Okay, Minyo Richard, you can go, and then Okello later.
Okay, good afternoon, guys. I'm so happy today's session is so good, like the network is very clear. In response to what Mabe just asked, I would advise us that if we go for data collection, there are other sensitive questions that we should avoid, especially things related to our inner lives. I mean, one time I went for a home visit while I, as a volunteer, and was carrying out some questionnaires. I mean, so I was asking about the child's welfare, how many meals they eat in a day, and the woman was really so emotional. And at the end of the day, I did not I come to the facility with an incomplete report because she wasn't able to respond to me. Like, she was very emotional, and we were advised like there are other sensitive matters that we shouldn't really risk. The other thing also is you can easily I mean conclude sometimes there's a way you can ask, and somebody can easily tell you that this is not here or this is not, like you can ask, hey, how many meals? Oh, etangakul asida kamara tuyom. Like you can ask that, yeah, sure, and they can easily tell you, this and this and this. You can easily know if they are separated, if they are divorced, if they are widowed or widowed. Like you can easily know. So my advice is we can use other ways to collect that. Like we can easily use other methods, but we shouldn't ask the questions direct. Thank you.
Wow, beautiful comment. Thank you so much, Minyo. I didn't know your voice is that deep. That was good one. Thank you for the comments. Yes, Isaac Loko, you can ask your question or you can make your comments, please. Isaac Loko, you're welcome.
Yeah, Vida, good evening to you guys.
Good evening, afternoon.
Good evening to everybody. Thank you so much. The lectures of today is really very brilliant. And then yesterday, our instructor told us he was going to recommend to us some of the universities that you can attend these course online studies, maybe for further studies, like if you want to do diploma, if you want to do maybe degree. Basically, for me, I'm from the side of aviation, and I see this one also. Actually, my first time to attend something related to MRDE, so it is really a good one I've seen. And in my previous, in case somebody want to study online, something to do with M&E, what are the universities that you can recommend? He told us something about that yesterday, but he didn't. So if you can recommend to us, I think it is also okay for those who wanted to pursue further studies for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the comments, Isaac Loko. Yeah, we'll definitely give you a list of schools that you can actually do some of these courses for free, and others you will have to pay for them. Thank you so much. We will do that in the WhatsApp group, obviously. Also, that WhatsApp group, we also share a lot of opportunities even beyond M&E, so that is also a good thing to be in that WhatsApp group. Mark, South Sudan, you can make your comments, please. Mark, South Sudan. Okay, Yeka, you can go. Yeka, you can go, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Peter. I really, I'm tired, but I managed to at least complete this time. I want to ask you in focus group discussions. Assume like your question is you want to study some numbers on the rate of illiteracy. Let me say illiteracy in year, and you will able to target in the focus group. They make youth, women, and then maybe you look at elders, teachers, then some stakeholders. Then how can you really sum up with this number? And they give you different number. Like you can go to another focus group with the youth. They say the rate of the illiteracy here is raised from 70% to 80. Then you go to the teachers, 50 to 60. how would you really sum up, or how would you really open up with this to start designing the report? Thank you.
Okay, your question is noted. Chuchu John, you can ask your question or make your comments, please.
All right, thank you very much. I'm really happy to be part of this program. I'm actually in Bor. I've been attending this training for only twice now. And my question is basically on the PowerPoint. You know, some of the samples that are not clear on PowerPoint, of which wherever you are doing M&E, there are some of the objectives that we need to achieve. For example, when it comes to M&E, somebody like me basically deal with the schools, and in the school there is number of boys and number of girls, and when you wanted to sum up this number of boys and number of girls and some of dropouts, there are some particular formula that should be used. And here I did not get very well, because most of the time it confused me, and I'm very honored so that I can learn from here. That is my question. If there is a way that you can able to teach us on how to make sample in order, then it will be very good.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Mark, can you hear us now? Mark, South Sudan. Yes, over to you, Mark.
Yes, I'm hearing. Okay, sorry that you gave me the opportunity at the first and I could not be able to respond because I'm using a phone and it's very hard to look for where I can unmute and talk. But now finally I got it. My question, mine is not a question, but it's more or less of a comment of that question whereby when you're interviewing somebody and someone became emotional. I think the answer was answered rightly, that you should not ask direct questions to divert that emotional things out from the person you're interviewing. Secondly, I think if somebody is to be sent out to collect data, I think you have to be prepared, because our situation in South Sudan, most of us are traumatized, and there should be a little bit of a counseling aspect whereby you could be able to divert some of those emotional things from the people you're interviewing. Like that person who is crying as a data collector, you have to be more empathic, whereby you put yourself into that person's shoes. That way you can divert out that emotional part, and then you can be able to continue with your data collection. Thank you very much.
That's great.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much, Mark, for that comment. I am wondering, William, if you have been able to pick some of the questions asked and whether you are ready to answer them. Some of the questions, yeah, have you been able to pick them?
Not all, but some.
Yes, and then I see a hand from Awana Check. Awana Check, please, you can ask your question if you have any.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. You know, I'm using a phone and I'm facing difficulties here and there. Things to do with the network also. So I did not capture the part where you were explaining more about quantitative and qualitative. So I don't think, I think if it will be possible, you can just deliberate a little about it so that I can understand. So I was interrupted by network by then.
Okay.
Okay, then I think you can make a few comments around there, around some of the comments that were made. You can please make those comments, and of course, William, over to you. I see somebody's asking for the link to the WhatsApp group. The link was shared via email, but I will endeavor to share here again.
Okay. Someone asked for importance of sampling. And I was saying sampling reduces biasness, and also it's cost effective. Like if you sample, other than going and interviewing almost the whole community, that can be costly. It's good when you take a sample and interview them. Then they use the finding from the sample to make generalization. It's cost effective and also limits biasness. And as well as that's what gives you the accuracy of data. You know, the more you have that sample size, it minimizes the chances of having what? Errors. The confidence level will be 95%. Someone asked for methods using M&E monitoring, right? The methods or the tools mostly that we use, we have the performance indicator. This performance indicator is like, we have in some places they call it activity tracking tables, whereby you track activity by activity and the numbers of people that you have reached. That's activity tracking table or indicator performance tracking table. Then we also have the meal logical framework. This log frame also, because it has the targets, it also helps you to track your progress. Briefly, these are all I can say about the tools that we use in monitoring, mostly. And then someone asked about the biasness of percentage of literacy. Like you ask these people, they give you a different percentage. For you to know literacy level, you should do research. You come up with questions, asking the youth in that community the highest level of education they have attained. Therefore, you'll be able to know how many have done only primary. The option will be primary, secondary, and the university or tertiary. Their responses will help you determine the level that they have ended. I know Ministry of Education could be having the list. It's generalized list of students that have completed university. From different universities, you'll get them. What will be very hard is now the disaggregation, because they will not disaggregate. These ones are from this side, or these ones are from the other side. Disaggregation will be very hard. The best you can do is just to make a survey to know the literacy rate in your location. Someone also talked of calculation of dropouts and the number of learners per year. This one, you can use a reporting template, like reporting template when you are gathering data on monthly from the schools. You should add that one for dropout in your IPTT. Like how many boys enrolled, how many girls enrolled, and the number of dropouts. You can also track, like this year, you had 70 people in P7. The following year, they have dropped to 60. With this, you can easily calculate and know where they have gone, or make a follow-up, like what are the causes of dropouts or dropping in this school or in this community. Some of them might have moved to another location and they're studying there. if you have your reporting template with a column for that captures the dropouts, you'll be able to know on annual basis or on quarterly basis how many learners have dropped from the schools that you are supporting. Lastly, the one I have captured, somebody asked difference between quantitative and qualitative. And earlier on, we said quantitative deals with numbers, while qualitative deals with opinions, attitude, and behavior of a certain community. You go deeply interview them with open, unstructured or structured questionnaires. Their responses will help you to understand deeply from empathic point of view, interpretism, to know more about that particular community. Then for quantitative, this is positivism. They deal with number. They believe that scientifically, every response, okay, that people give from scientific point of view will help determine how people live. Like when we say 100 people responded that they have gone to the university, that is numerical, it is quantitative. But when we talk of qualitative, we said this community believes that education is the key to success based on the response from the qualitative focus group discussion that you might have carried on or key informant interview. You can come up to these conclusions. I think with this, these are the few that I've captured. I'm sorry if I have not responded to your question. That will tell me I haven't captured.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, William, for the insights. Maybe I will give a few minutes. We have 7 minutes left. I will give a few minutes to Nelson. Nelson, if you're around, please make, yeah, already the questions have been shared in the WhatsApp group. So please check the WhatsApp group. The questions are already there. We'll also share the document that has the question plus some sample of the same questions that are already answered. We'll have, we'll share with you the sample of a monitoring and evaluation framework, and also we'll share with you a document that has a case study in which it illustrates how monitoring and evaluation information findings can be used. So all these documents are there. So you will use those examples as a guide to be able to answer the assignments. You have 2 weeks to be able to do this before we issue certificates to you. If you don't do this, you will not get the certificate. We'll also give you more instructions. We'll also give you more instructions on how to be able to do this. Yep. Nelson, would you like to make any comments? Just some final remarks, 2 minutes can help.
All right. Thank you. I can do that maybe for a minute even or less. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you who attend the training. And it has been really so good. It is actually participatory, and then it is actually good sharing ideas with each other. So what I want to say is that M&E is a big field, is actually broad, so it has a lot of information. Now, for this training, we only have the basics of M&E. So in the basics, as a takeaway, since yesterday and today, we just need to know what is monitoring, what is evaluation, and then all those processes like, okay, the process, and then the inputs, the output, the outcome, the impact. And then now it is good that the other tools will be shared. Those ones also you'll be able to use because it will be in form of templates and it will actually guide you. So you actually have to make sure you practice wherever you are. You know, M&E is broad, like I said before. So there are different projects that people monitor. So you just have to make sure that the little knowledge that you get here, you should be able to apply it. If you are a teacher, for instance, you have to start collecting information on key indicators that you will identify, of course. And then if you are maybe working in different, like maybe in different project, you also need to apply that knowledge. So you will realize that the more you apply and then it becomes easy even for you to learn, and then you can easily reach out to any of us for more knowledge. It would be always there. So our contacts are there, and the WhatsApp group is there. We are going to be part of this community for life, and would be able to assist each other. Thank you so much, and happy Sunday to you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I see a hand from Pius. Pius, you can speak, please. You're welcome, Pius.
Okay, thank you. The question that I wanted to ask you, you have just answered me. It was on the questions that were given for us. Suppose I wanted to ask in the duration. Thank God you have answered. Finally, I'm just going to appreciate the host of the program, the trainer, and all the trainees who have attended. I'm really much more pleased on that. Otherwise, thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you as well for joining. We have 2 hands raised.
Edward, you can go, please, and then later on Richard Mawa. 1 minute each, please, strictly.
Yes, good afternoon, all. Mine is just a request. If this question can as well be shared to us in email, it's better for me. Thank you.
Yeah, we will send via email, and we'll also place in the Google Classroom. Yes, Richard Mawa Michael. Richard? Okay, Richard has dropped. Yeah, if there are no other comments, guys, thank you so much for attending this session. It will follow a series of email, and yes, Mabe, you can speak. 1 minute, please, Mabe.
Okay, thank you so much. Once again, I wanted to appreciate everyone here for the participation and for all the answers given. I think I am really happy with everything that I have received today. And for me in Yei, I know we are with my colleague Yeka, we attended this training live in Yei, and everyone where you stay, accept our regards in Yei with my colleague, and then my regards to all the trainers. I wanted to say that may God add you more, and please remember that let this training continue next time. We need more trainings like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm humbled. Vida?
Yes, I see there's one lady, Grace. I think Grace, you just grace it, and then we call it a close. Yes, Grace, you can speak, please. William, you wanted to say something? Looks like Grace is having. Yes, Grace.
Grace.
Thank you for giving me the chance. Mine is just a word of You're hearing me?
Yes.
Hello?
Loud and clear.
Are you
You're
hearing
getting
me?
you.
Yes,
loud and
I'm
clear.
just saying thank you. Yes, thank you, moderator, for the nice presentation for today. And I would also like to say thank you for the organizing committee. It was a nice session attending. And this is my second time attending the master course, and looking forward for more, especially data analysis.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Basically, what we had is basics. So basic knowledge, just like beginners, yeah? Then with time, we'll go a bit deeper. Okay? We'll decide together with Bida and find another day to fix data analysis using Excel. Thank you.
And flourish for them.
We will bring in that our guy.
You can even do flourish. I can do flourish anyway. So.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did together sometimes back, and I can do yam.
Perfect. Good. Otherwise, once again, thank you so much. Thank you so